All right, welcome back to another podcast of Heal Without Harm. If you're taking your health seriously, looking for answers, this podcast will be a great resource for you. Today, we have Elyse, the owner of WeRide. It's a rhythmic cycling studio, and she was once a PA in the medical system, but got out of medicine to help people improve their health in a much different way. So, welcome, Elyse.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, one, when me and my company, well, not my company, the company I work for, I should say, came and checked out WeRide. Not only did I love it, and I realized that you can make 30, 45 minutes go by pretty quick, and my butt wasn't too sore on that first class.
We stand up a lot.
Yes, which is, I'm very grateful for that. And you also make 3 pounds feel like 300.
Yeah.
I saw your article. I think you have it posted up, or a version of your article up at the front of the studio, and I was like, holy crap, you've been in medicine and like not even too terribly long, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to go start a cycling studio. So that's what really caught my eye. And then I wanted to hear about your experiences in the medical field from more like the hospital side of things, so
Yes.
people can see behind the curtain or hear behind the curtain what goes on. So those are some of the topics that I want to run through today. But I, if you're okay with it, I want to start with, why did you get into medicine in the first place? What took you down that path?
The biggest thing was that I wanted to help people. I always was a science nerd. My dad was a biology teacher, and then he actually went back to PA school whenever he was 43. And I grew up going fossil hunting and dissecting frogs. And I mean, in kindergarten, I was dissecting frogs. So
That's fantastic.
I always loved science. And then decided to go ahead. I was debating between PA or doctor, and decided that PA was the route for me. But I really wanted to help people.
Okay, gotcha. Well, and PA is a lot less schooling, considering that you didn't stick in it. No, I'm just joking. It's not that you didn't stick in, but it seems
Thanks
like
for that.
yeah, right. I'm gonna take back that little jab that I accidentally threw. But it does seem like PA. I mean, if I did it, I would go PA, because the amount of time along with financial investment is incredible. What is the differences between a PA and a medical doctor in regards of like what it takes to get to the actually practicing at the end?
So there's quite a few differences, but
okay.
Really, I mean, timing is a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. How much schooling did you do as a PA?
So I did 4 years of undergrad, and then it's 2.5 years of my master's degree.
And can you, when you get done with that 2.5 years, can you immediately like start working as a PA?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that I looked really into was finding a job that they would train me. And so
okay. So after you get done with it, you go out, start the job, but still get training.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah. If you interview, when the jobs that come for you, you're also interviewing them.
It's a two-way street. And
exactly. To make sure that you'll get that training. Because some people are some PAs, they graduate and they're just thrown in there. And it's
that doesn't sound
sink
fun.
or swim. No, that would be horrifying. But you also, PAs, one of the things that I loved about PA versus doctor was that PAs really push the collaboration. And so we're supposed to, like, part of our role is being in collaboration with doctors, being in collaboration with the rest of the medical team. So, bouncing ideas off of each other, brainstorming, saying, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think? Do you think this is the best? Not. So you can still have autonomy, but also you have that team work and team behind you to also bounce ideas off of.
Do you feel like the doctors don't, or do you feel like they're better used in a different way? Okay.
I feel like they do. But how it's set up, PAs are kind of expected to.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Whereas doctors aren't necessarily expected to.
Tell me if you would agree with this statement. It seems like doctors, if we're talking about like a hospital setting, the doctors seem more siloed. They're more of a specialist in whatever genre they are, and the PA is kind of like asking them, connecting with the patient, going to the next specialist, or communicating between the doctor and the nutrition, or doctor and the
Correct,
PT, or doctor and the nursing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound like right when you say collaborative?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yep.
And so when you got out, where did you go to school for undergrad and then PA school?
Undergrad, I went to Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas.
Okay.
And then I actually ended up graduating online.
Oh yeah, me too.
You did?
From PT school, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a slideshow, and you just watched it. You're like, oh yeah, there's my picture.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. So I was living near Austin and had a full-time job in sales, because I was like, okay, wait, if I can go out there in the world and start making some money
For sure.
and, work for a business. Awesome. And finish my degree. So I actually finished at Fort Hays State University online.
Okay.
In
For your
Western
undergrad?
Kansas. Yeah, for my undergrad.
Solid.
So most of it was done down in Texas in person, and they had no online classes. And then I switched to Fort Hays to finish it up. Whenever really, in my mind, it's a lot of cost benefits. Just like you'll see, or I'll talk about with the healthcare system, but I saw that in the education system as well. So whenever I was going to pay, $3,000 for 2 credits of bowling so that I could graduate, I was like, okay, let me switch to online. Let me go work and make that money and graduate.
I feel like there's a very few amount of students weighing those things. At least that's what it appears to me. In general, right? Like, I had friends in PT school. I think we had 40 people in our class, and I think only 4 of us had a job during PT school. So they're living off loans, which I understand if you have to do that, but I'm like, good Lord, like $20,000 a year, and all your living and everything like that. So they're going into more debt than I was, and I know generally PAs and or medical doctors are even more in regards of cost. And so
and that my dad was in PA school whenever I was
did you guys go together?
School,
oh, okay. I was like, did you go through PA school together?
No,
since he went back so late? Gosh, that's interesting. Hey, you're like, hey, Dad, I know you took this class 2 years ago. Can you give me some pointers on this?
Yeah, right.
So then where did you get your PA degree from?
Wichita State University.
Okay, perfect. What year did you graduate there?
2018.
Okay,
so
I
it was
graduated...
like July of 2018.
Okay, I graduated from PT school in 2020, May of 2020, like right in the thick of it. Yeah. And so that's why I said it was more of an online graduation. I never got to wear that mushroom hat or anything at graduation. Again, it was just
we don't
watching
talk about 2020.
No, it was challenging. So, okay, so you graduated in 2018. How many years did you have out in the field as a PA?
In total?
Yeah.
5 before I decided to change career.
Okay, so you asked in total. Did you have different jobs as a PA?
I did.
What all did you go through? What all did you work?
So I was a hospitalist PA from 2018 until 2021.
Okay, so 3 years there.
Correct. And then I switched over to trauma.
Is that still within a hospital, though?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
What would you say the difference between hospitalist and trauma is? Because I don't think people realize...
Both traumatic.
Okay, yeah. Both traumatic, whether it's the patient or the provider. But when I go to the hospital, it is like, I feel like I know the medical system, at least some. I work outside of a hospital, but I'm like, how many people just came in here and like talked to us? And like, what are you? Like, are you a PA, a nurse, a doctor, like the respiratory therapist? Like, who's all going on here?
Overwhelming and confusing. And
it is.
Then you get the bill afterwards and you're like, wait, this team consulted on me and this team consulted on me?
Yes.
And this team?
We have so many bills. My daughter's been to the ER 3 times in the last like 6 months because of asthma. And you get these bills from places you never heard of. And it's like, oh, because that person was like moonlighting or contracting or like you said, you're getting them from more places than just Wesley. And you're like, are all these necessary? And why did he charge $4,000 for that? Like, all he did was rubber back for a second. Like, I'm so confused here. And so going back to where you said you're a hospitalist, what kind of patients, who are you working with as a hospitalist? And like, where would I see you in the hospital?
So we'll talk kind of pre-COVID, during COVID,
I think that's a good point.
And then I switched out of it after COVID. So pre-COVID, it was a lot of chronic medical conditions. So someone comes in with type 2 diabetes and they need to be hospitalized because they have an infection on top of the type 2 diabetes, or their blood sugars are way out of control. Or you have someone that comes in with COPD and their oxygen saturation, we can't keep it elevated, and so they need to be admitted to the hospital.
Okay.
Same thing with like heart failure. They need, IV medications to help drain some of the fluid off and open up their lungs and heart so that they can function better. So it was a lot of chronic medical conditions that we were treating. There was something acute that was going on, but we were used to these patients coming in. We had a lot of recurring patients.
Like frequent flyers kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, it was usually, a 3 to 5 day hospital stay, and you get to see kind of the result.
Yeah. Do you feel like you solved anything in those 5 days?
Solved anything?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. But we can get to this too. A lot of it was lifestyle changes, and that's why sometimes we would see people come back.
You're like, you just went back and did everything that got you here in the first place.
Cheese has how much salt in it?
Oh,
whenever someone comes in and says they're not eating very much salt, which salt is not the devil, but if
Mhm.
you have something, a pre-existing medical condition,
Yes. That's a big consideration I
is,
don't think
yeah.
a lot of people take into account. There was actually I'm going to butcher it a little bit. There's a quote that I just saved on my phone that I'm going to start using with a lot of patients. And I think it was Hippocrates. And he said, if you're going to help someone heal, you must first ask them, are they willing to give up what made them sick? And I think my goal with my practice is creating agency within the patient, saying like, you need to take care of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're having a problem, like something like that, or even just like something with back pain that's recurring, it's holding up the mirror and saying, do you see how what you're doing led you to have this back pain? And it's not to put blame. It's mainly to put, look, you have control of this.
Right.
Like you haven't slept more than 5 hours in the last 6 weeks overnight.
Right.
This is probably part of the reason your back can't hold up.
Right.
So if you just change that one thing, you'll see a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
And so I know in my experience in the hospital, you have a lot of times you don't have that time. And most of the time, those people are generally bad enough that it's kind of hard to help them take that first step because they have 47 steps to take.
Yeah.
So what were some of those conversations like for you, like helping them, or at least attempting helping them change that lifestyle?
I personally love those conversations. And I think that may have been one of the things that ended up, I don't want to say burning. I feel like everyone says they were burnt out now, but burning me out is I loved those conversations. So even if it was someone that came in with heart palpitations and, we had checked out everything, we had put them through a stress test and everything like that. And then we come to find out that, hey, this is like anxiety and depression that's leading to this. I loved even having the conversation of when you were in high school, I can think of some specific people that when you were in high school, what did you love to do? Like, what did you just love to do? Like, what helped ease your mind? Like, how can we, decrease that stress? And I remember one specific patient that said he loved playing basketball. And so I'm like, okay. I was in Western Kansas, liberal Kansas, and I'm like, I know there are so many public basketball courts. I challenge you this next week. Go out there, shoot some baskets. Like, why, whenever we get to a certain age or whenever we become adults, why are we not having fun? And
we lose play. We don't play anymore.
And it's so important in our overall health and our well-being. And so I really, like, that's the take I kind of on all healthcare. I mean, if someone could put us, and I even said this sometimes, sorry, hospital that I worked for, but I would say, because patients would be frustrated that they were back in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I would say, put me out of work, please.
Yeah.
Like, please.
Yeah, because a lot of times patients think you're like, oh, you're just profiting on me being sick. It's like, I would rather not.
I'm like, no, I'm not, first off. And second off, like, make it where you don't have to take insulin. I mean, okay, if you're a type 1 diabetic, it's completely different. So don't mix that up. But if you slowly
got here over the last 25 years of eating and you're 48 and your blood sugar has slowly been creeping up over time, like,
correct,
there was lifestyle choices that went into that.
Yeah,
you may be predisposed, but there's still lifestyle choices, which again, the key word there, choice. Like, you can choose to live differently and actually reverse a lot of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but there's so much misinformation out there too that I think that there's a lot of Americans specifically that are very confused on what is healthy and what isn't healthy.
I would agree. And there's a lot of companies that are really good at marketing that make you think certain things are healthy when they're the same as the bad choice, or they're just not good at all. And I think that's what really like angers me deep to my core, is when you have this person who thinks they're doing very well because they're told they're doing well, or the marketing ad said, oh, this is healthy, this is this, and this.
Right.
And they're actually not doing well by themselves.
Right.
But they think they are. And that's, to me, like the ultimate, like, screw you to that marketing company that helped sell that product that's actually probably declining this person's health, but they think they're living healthy. Because then people like you and me have to like pull that curtain up and say, look, this is not a good option for you. Like, no, you shouldn't be doing that because your blood tests look like this.
Correct.
Type of thing. And that's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. So here's where, I mean, my next couple questions were like, when did you start questioning the mainstream medical model? And what message do you want people to understand about medicine and hospitals? It seems like, I mean, the second you got out there, you're like, why are these people not like changing their life? But like, was there a turning point? Was there something that led you to be like, wow?
There were quite a few, right? It's so multifaceted that There were quite a few. So if it was just treating patients, having these conversations, I would go back to being a PA in 2 seconds. But there's so much more to it. And the first time that I really realized, okay, this is an issue, was whenever, honestly, a lot of it has to do with insurance.
Yeah.
Healthcare insurance is just tricky because we would treat patients that were coming in and then that treatment would be denied. And then our doctor was having to call these insurance companies and say, like, this patient was only 80% oxygen, or whatever. Like, hey, whenever they go, like, they need oxygen at home, or their hospital stay wouldn't be approved just because of a specific documentation or something. I just saw our doctors and but mostly our doctors were on the phone with these insurance companies so much.
I mean, out of all your patients, what percent would you say had a smooth stay in regards of insurance?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah. I mean, would you say it was...
We did have case managers who, thank goodness for them.
Yeah, having a dedicated person to help them navigate it.
Yes, help advocate for them. But, I can't give a percentage and be completely sure on it. But every single person that had to be sent home or discharged from, every single person went through our case managers' hands to make sure that they would qualify, or if they wouldn't qualify, that our doctors were then talking to insurance.
Yeah, because what I see is that...
and that doesn't mean that it'll ever be okayed by insurance. So, you hope that the doctors talking to the insurance companies or the
like fighting for
PAs or nurse practitioners, fighting for it will help, but it's not guaranteed.
Exactly.
And so once COVID hit,
let's get
that was
what happened?
tricky.
Did things change, or was the volume just 10x?
Oh, the volume was insane. Absolutely insane. There was not the support of the, again, sorry, hospital that I worked for, but there was, he knows, I've talked to him. There was not support from the CEO, who was really our kind of direct boss because we were in rural.
A small one.
Yeah.
Smaller hospital.
There was like no support at all. And it was really the PAs left to manage all of this.
So did you sort of become case manager, is what you're saying? In a way?
Case managers were there, but no one knew what was going on, right?
Yeah.
And so it was
just
like...
full lack of direction.
Correct. And you get... the hospital got a ton of patients in there that didn't have health insurance. So then you're saving these people's lives, or trying to. The hospital was such a different world during COVID than the outside world. Yeah. So I say we saw the worst of the worst, right?
Yeah, because that's where they're going to go.
Correct. We saw the worst of the worst. So I know that some people's experience in the outside world, like, didn't even know that COVID was really going on. But in the hospital, like, we were seeing the worst of the worst. So patients doubled up on ventilators in hospital rooms, family not able to come in and see them. So being the PA, we were the ones that were keeping in contact with those patients and
taking on a bunch of stuff that's generally not your job.
Correct.
Like, I'm not trying to say it's,
and the nurses
quote, not your
too.
job,
the
but
nurses too. Like, there were multiple times where the nurses and PAs were just in tears together because it's like, these N95s that had been refurbished and were like molded to their face. Like, I had an actual like line in the back of my head from so all of that stuff. But then afterwards, like a year into working COVID, right? Then you're hit with patients who, I saw enough death and destruction, but the ones who survived, like, we were pouring all of our emotion, all of our zest for life, anything into those patients. And whenever we figure out afterwards that some of these patients are left with hundreds and thousands and $1 million bills, then you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And
But I
there's
mean,
this
was
like
that even in your control?
dilemma. No,
I mean,
it
because
wasn't.
I understand what you like. How do you not take that with you, right? Like,
Right.
I'm the one who did this stuff, and then now you're left with a bill. But
Right.
what else were you supposed to
Right.
do? You know?
Right.
And I think what it really kills me is I feel like there's this ominous figure that makes all these decisions medically, not medical choices, but like billing choices, insurance stuff. It's like, who do I need to talk to get answers here?
Right.
And everybody just passes the baton to someone else. Like, I would
Right.
ask you, like, hey, PA, like, what is this going to cost me? You're like, I'm really not sure. I have to check with the case manager. Case manager sends me to the billing department. Billing
Right.
department calls insurance and gets, again, no answer.
Right.
And then you finally get your explanation of benefits 6 months later in this
Right.
massive bill. And still nobody knows, why did I get charged this?
Or
Why is it
here's
this
an
much?
ibuprofen for $400.
Literally, I made a TikTok
Yeah.
like 6 years ago. Not that long ago. It was right after my first daughter, so just under 4 years ago. It was $45 a pill for an 800 milligram ibuprofen. And I'm like, why does this cost so much? And a bunch of people on the TikTok commenting were like, well, the nurse had to do this, and the pharmacist. I'm like, so is there less work in the $6 Tylenol?
Yeah.
Because the Tylenol was only $6. And then I had this other slew of answers coming in saying, oh, well, the insurance company wants to make ibuprofen like expensive or something like that, and that's going to make them less likely to get on opioids. And I was like, okay, I see the good intention attempted there, but what I really heard was, okay, insurance is going to make the doctor decide what to do. And that's what it boils down to, because then you, in my perspective, then you have to make the decision of, this is going to be better for you, but can you afford this?
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off.
And that was one of the turning points. Was I was like, I would rather not even know. Like, don't tell me.
Ignorance is bliss.
Don't tell me how much this stuff costs. But then whenever I was hit with the reality of, okay, but I should be, as a healthcare provider, I should be choosing the cheaper alternative, because as
long as it's effective.
Yeah. If we're having these patients come in here though, that then are hit with that at the end, but then, I mean, it just, you can see where your mind would start swirling, because you're just like, you're doing what you think is the best for the patient. And then, I mean, it's just so expensive.
But their bill has 6 zeros at the end.
It's insane. And especially with a lot of the COVID medications, our hospital did amazing. We could get medications that other hospitals could not get. And I know that because I moonlit. So I went up and worked in South Dakota during COVID. I went up to Olathe and worked in Olathe during COVID. And our protocols that we had out in Western Kansas, like, our pharmacist was on it. And she was able to get us a lot of the medications. And our death rates showed, like, we had some of the best mortality rates.
Yeah, for sure. So the
COVID.
least amount of people dying, correct?
The least amount of people dying. And then I would go to some other hospitals and I was like, hey, give me this, you know, like, hey, this person's, their levels in their blood that showed how basically inflamed they were from COVID. Okay. Hey, it's so high, we can give them this medication. And they'd be like, we can't get that medication.
And is it because they didn't have it?
I think it's because of the expense. Okay. I don't know. It's either because there was a shortage. There was definitely a shortage. But then also it's like the expense. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure it was in the thousands. Like, I have no idea. But you just see where it's like, yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah, and I would say what keeps me up at night is I feel like there's two options there. You can get out, which is what you chose to do, or you can try to go fix the problem. But I think on that path, you look down this path and you're like, okay, I'm going to go find this problem. And I feel like every time you come to a potential solution or a person to talk to or like another fork in the road, you realize there's like 4 more options. And every step you take, there's 9 more steps to take because of that one. And so it seems endless. And so there's a reason that you chose to get out and start this studio. There's a reason that our clinic just said, we're not going to F with insurance. Yeah. Like, you are going to come in and you're going to say, Clayton, I need help. And we say, cool, I'm going to help you. Here's what it costs. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. Yeah. You know, and so like some people see our stuff as expensive, but it's like, you know exactly what you're going to pay. I will do everything in my power. You will not get a la carded on anything else. Yep. And you just have to step outside of insurance. And so we'll get to more questions on this, but I'm curious with where we're at right now in the conversation. What do you think is even close to a fix? Did you ever come up with any potential solutions? I'm not asking you to fix America's problem here, right? But like if someone's listening now and they went through some of this stuff, like,
I'm always a problem solution person. Like,
how can you not live like that?
Don't come to someone like, I'm big on, I'm not going to come to you with a problem unless I've already thought of a couple solutions.
Tried, found some, maybe found nothing, but at least tried.
Exactly. Because I feel like you can just complain, right?
Athletes and club teams, load up your gear with Van Gogh Transport Services. Led by local Ironman triathletes, Van Gogh safely ships your bikes, team equipment, or even bulky luggage to out-of-town events. Focus on performance, not logistics. Explore more at vangohtransport.biz.
This is very, very tricky, but I mean, just insurance companies being able to raise the price of hospitals, being able to raise the prices on things because they know the insurance will pay for it, and then like they can get that reimbursement. Like, I feel like there just has to be some cap on how expensive these medications can be, especially whenever we can produce them. They can produce them. One thing that I did not see in the hospital that I would love for to be kind of dispelled is there's such a hesitancy and disbelief of science now in society. Yeah. And I never, now, sorry if you're a healthcare provider and you are doing this, but I never saw firsthand any physicians I worked with getting kickbacks for using a specific medication or anything like that. So I can say I never saw that in the hospital setting. I don't know about clinic. I don't know about family practice.
Yeah. What I heard, though, was less about providers and it was way more about the hospital.
And I don't know.
So the business side. And again, I have no actual proof of this.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I've listened to a couple podcasts in this world.
Oh, if you use this medication and maybe you get a...
Yeah, that hospital gets blah, blah, blah. Or they get a percentage of it or whatever. But I think what sucks is it comes back what seems to between insurance and corporate style medicine where you and the doctors are the worker bees doing the work. And then money comes in and they say, hey, here's your salary, $100,000 a year, whatever the number is, right?
Right.
But meanwhile, the hospital's catching 80% of that and they're paying you as minimal as possible. And so I think if there was truth to that statement of the whole kickback idea, it's not coming to the doctors.
Yeah.
It's not coming to the quote workers. It's coming to the hospital and then getting moved around profit wise.
Oh, we even saw that with COVID. Yeah. Whenever all these hospitals got bonuses, right?
Yeah, if the person died of COVID, they'd get $45,000 or something like that.
I don't even know about that, but they were supposed to give bonuses to healthcare workers.
Oh yeah,
in hospitals, and each hospital got millions of dollars, which I'm sure they needed, but
did it ever actually make it all the way down to the workers?
So our dehumidifier just
that's fantastic.
we're getting
I was wondering what it was.
Yeah, we're getting humid in here.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sure when you have a lot of people working hard in the studio.
Yeah.
So
but it was I sat down with the CEO of our hospital and I said, hey, my dad's a PA in the town over and we're seeing so many more COVID patients than I know that we were allocated this amount of money.
Yeah.
For COVID, and why are we not getting bonuses? I've been working. At one point, I worked for 19 days. They were 24-hour shifts because one of my coworkers had traveled and so then had to quarantine, so he couldn't come in and work. So I worked, 19 days straight, 24-hour shifts. So I would go home and sleep, for 6 hours at night, and that's whenever I was called by nurses at night. So I didn't have to actually physically go in unless I did, which sometimes I did.
For sure. Because sometimes you can answer a question and sometimes it's we need your help now.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So then I would run in. But I probably should have gone and talked to the CEO on day one instead of 18 because I probably would have been a little more held together. But I went in there and I was just like, hey, what is happening here? We're not being compensated. I know that we got this money. Yeah. And his response to me was, I don't look good in handcuffs and an orange jumpsuit. And I was just like, wait, what? You think you're going to go to jail for paying us a bonus for being here for so much? So, in other words, where did that money go?
And you never really got an answer?
No, and he's no longer there.
Surprise. I mean,
so.
There was another one.
He moved states.
Good Lord. I actually just talked to a lady this morning. This is quite off topic, but had back surgery. it went really bad. This was 9 years ago, and she's still on like oxy and morphine to this day because the pain is consistently so bad. She went back to like ask the doctor like one more question, and they're like, yeah, he called in about a week ago and like never been back since. And it took 4 years before her and her friend could ever find him again.
Oh, shoot.
Like via Googling, like just trying to find this doctor. And he like appeared in Florida like, a couple of years ago. And she like left a huge review saying like, please don't go to this person. And it's like, so there's such dark sides woven into medicine, but I feel like the majority of the time it's good quality people that are completely strapped. Like I as the patient is like, your hands are tied, the doctors and the nurses and the PAs and the like on down the list, hands are tied. And it's like, where is the answer? And I would say that's what like, not literally keeps me up at night because I actually sleep quite well, but like that's what frustrates me is like, where's the problem? I can't identify it, right? Like we talk about what's the solution. It's like, I can't even find the problem.
It's multifaceted. It is. Everything is, but the costs have to stay lower. But also, I don't know, because I also think of the things that immediately got me out of healthcare whenever I switched to the trauma team.
Yeah.
And
was this ER trauma or just like the trauma floor?
Trauma bay, trauma floor, and ICU.
Okay.
So patient comes in after a car wreck.
Gotcha.
And you're meeting them in the trauma bay.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're either admitted to the trauma floor, they're discharged out like they're fine, or they're admitted to the ICU.
Okay.
And that team is amazing. Like the physicians, PAs that I
think it'd be fun to be part of that team. It'd suck to learn, but it'd be fun to like.
So cool.
It's got to be like so smoothly systematic. Like, here's what we're going to do. All right, now we're going to like administer this, do this, hold them there.
Yeah. And there's a little bit more freedom in treatment with trauma because it's like.
Don't let them die.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Like, yeah.
Like, that's the goal.
Yeah. And it's not like chronic issues that people come in with. It's just like acute. So,
For sure.
So
there's less like overall problem solving. It's literally like, do this right now or they'll die. And I don't know. It's one of those things I appreciate that. I think it's because it's like nothing but hyper focus.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. Literally just put all your focus here.
Yeah.
And I enjoy those moments.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So I could see that being a cool job.
Yeah. It was really cool. I forgot what I was going to say with it though.
No worries.
Where were we? I don't remember. But
so I think you were talking about when you would transition, when you transitioned over.
It was just different. The patients were so different.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was like, this is a whole other element that I didn't really deal with that much in hospital medicine. Like for the most part, patients were pretty appreciative with hospital medicine, but I think because trauma, it's a traumatic event, right?
And they're not there by choice.
They're not there.
No, I'm not saying people choose to be in the hospital, but like we talked about, when
it's
you have
not
5
those chronic diseases,
yes, when
that
you have 5
used to
comorbidities,
treating
yes, you've used the medical system a bunch. Yeah. You're generally probably pretty dissatisfied because you don't have a good health.
Yeah.
And you keep getting like, I don't know, you're in hospitals all the time.
Yeah.
But generally, I think more of the average American who ends up in the hospital via trauma is like a normal, healthy, like person, and then they're there because like something happened, as opposed to like this was a 10 years of lifestyle choice, and this is my 14th ER visit in the last 3 years,
and like all of a sudden now they're relying on people, and they're relying on a nurse,
and they're like, I'm sorry that I'm asking you for all this, and you're like, homie, you just lost your leg, like I'll do whatever you need right now.
Right, exactly. And that was the like, you just have to step back and realize, okay, that's not personal. They're going through like the absolute worst time in their life. For
sure. Like, I mean, even you just admitted like, hey, 18 days into this 19-day straight shift, I was not in the same mindset. And so like, if you take that into account, like, this person just got in a car accident. They don't know where their dad is, like, because they were also in the car accident. Like those people are allowed to kind of do and say what they need at the time.
And there's just a lot of tragedy with it. It's traumatic. So
for sure.
So the things that got me out of being a PA as a hospitalist during COVID were a little bit different than the trauma team.
So. For sure. So how did you go from being a PA to I'm going to open a cycling studio? Like, can you bridge that gap for me? I mean, I'm glad you did. I'm glad I'm sitting here today with you
psycho.
Not necessarily. I think the main thing is just like, I don't know. I'm somebody, I think there's a layer of loyalty to me where it's like when I choose something, I feel like I'm obligated to stick with it. And I think that helps me at times and hurts me at times. But I feel like if I went to PA school, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I don't know where that is back in my brain, but it's like, I think there's this should or supposed to.
Yeah.
So I'm really intrigued on what allowed you mentally, like, to have the permission to like leave and come build the studio and give something to Wichita that they've never had.
So I fell in love with rhythmic cycling whenever I was living in Texas.
Okay.
And I lived there for 7 years. It was the one thing that kept me grounded and was like a mental release. It's just a completely different environment, but other than running, like runner's high, you know, this type of cycling. And I would go to classes at other, like cycling, spin classes at other places and other gyms in Wichita. And I was just like I would want to leave after 15, 20 minutes. It just wasn't that mental release. And so during COVID, I was like, seriously, it would be funny to go back on my phone and see how many times I searched like Wichita rhythmic cycling studio because cold, like I'm not a cold fan at all. And so more power to you if you are, but I'm not running outside, even though like I can run 10 miles a day. It's just in the cold. No. So I was like, searched it so many times. Where is our rhythmic cycling studio? Like why do we not have one? And so finally, whenever COVID, that happened, and then I made the switch to the trauma team, and then that was traumatic for other reasons, and I was realizing that I still wasn't dealing, even though I was in therapy and all this other stuff, I wasn't dealing with that. That I needed that release.
You
like,
needed your form of play.
I did. Exactly. Like we talked about earlier. I needed my form of play and like what gets me back to that happy spot. And so I was like, okay, we're doing it. Like, what would it take to do it? And then I met with a couple people in Wichita, and they probably thought I was crazy a little bit.
I think that's a requirement.
Yeah. But I was like, you know, here's all the research back behind it, and
sorry to interrupt you. What is that? Like rhythmic specifically, or just cycling in general?
Rhythmic cycling.
Okay, what's the difference? I've felt the difference. I know. I especially because I've YouTubed, like, because we have a spin bike at home, and I'm like, yeah, none of these girls do it. I felt in that class, so I'm with you.
Yes.
But I'm curious. Like, I didn't know there was research behind it. What does that look like?
So lots of behind just starting this business, there was a lot of research.
Okay.
And I have a 2.5-year-old son, so I was basically filling my nights with breastfeeding and research.
Hell yeah.
On how to open
I mean, if you're going to be awake anyway, right?
Yeah,
Every 3 hours,
back
and
then
on Google.
Going to the hospital during the day and working a 12-hour shift. It was great.
Yeah. That's probably why you were crazy. You just straight up weren't sleeping.
Yeah. Yes. But it's okay. Yeah, so the research behind it, I mean, one, if we want to talk about the business side of it, I mean, it wasn't just like I'm going to go do this type of thing.
Like, you wanted to make sure you did it right.
I did. And in 2019, I had even messaged a couple of people. One person, actually, she started a rhythmic cycling studio down in Amarillo, Texas, and she was from Wichita originally.
Oh, and
so I went back to our messages, and my first message to her was in 2019. So and I said, hey, how did you start that? Like, I would love to eventually start a rhythmic cycling studio.
When did you guys open this place? It's been a year?
It's been 10 and a half months.
Okay, gotcha. So when's your 1-year anniversary?
May 13th.
Okay, May 13th, 2025, just in case
Correct.
You're listening to this.
We're gonna have a big party May 9th.
Cool.
Yeah, but
we'll put some sort of link to that in the show notes so you guys can come party with us.
Yeah, come party, and then there'll be some like free classes and giveaways and all sorts of stuff there next week. But I mean, the research behind cycling in general is there, but then you add the rhythm, you add the arm movements, and there's so much research behind mental health and brain elasticity and connecting those neurons and everything. So I have had a lot of women who are like in their 60s that come in here and they say, I really feel like my thinking is quicker. I really feel like my memory is better. I really feel like, I'm connecting the dots, because they're having to move their legs to the beat of the music. They're doing different arm movements to the beat of the music. They're listening, they're watching, and then
there is a lot going on mentally aside from just what you're doing physically. That is a good point.
Correct. And then we always, during our classes, have a chance for you to like break and just focus in on this moment, being present, and completely letting your mind.
Okay, so I do want to talk on that. So you did that. I'm like, cool, class is over. We're just going to chill. And then we got back at it. And I was like, what just happened? And it was like this movement
Whiplash?
meditation that you like forced us into.
Yeah.
And I loved every bit of it. Because I've went to his couple spin classes before. They were at the YMCA. And the lady that did them, there was at 5 a.m. And if you weren't there by 4:45, you wouldn't get a bike. Like she was high in demand. She's really cool. But it still wasn't this. And I think like I said, I've tried to YouTube it and find some stuff for me to do at home, and it's just not the same. And I think what took place is you're moving, like you said, to the beat of the music, to where physically you almost kind of like check out.
Yes.
And you're kind of just, like you said, going along with the beat. And then you don't have to tell them, all right, hit 90,
No.
What do they call it per minute? Like rotations?
RPMs. Yeah.
So like, hit 90 RPMs. You're like, just stay with the beat. And so you can mentally check out.
Correct.
Or sorry, physically check out and just go into this headspace. And I think that's what would be like the runner's high, right? Where you're just, you're kind of existing with everybody else. We're watching you up there attempting the dance moves that you do. And I'm like, I'm just going to flip this bicycle over ultimately. I usually choose a bike that's not facing the mirror so I don't see how awkward I look.
Yeah.
But it made it actually enjoyable. Because I see
we're never going to be like, get up that hill, or
exactly. That's how they all are.
We will give a recommendation, like, hey, we recommend resistance 7 to 9,
which I really like, because I'm over here like 20 all the time. I got to go hard,
right?
And I'm like, if she's at 9 and kind of struggling, I should be lower,
right? But we're never gonna say like the RPM is this, or move your feet to the whatever. A lot of it is being in tune with your own body while you're on the bike, and then to make your feet go a little bit quicker, take a little resistance off.
Yeah.
To make your feet go faster, to make them go slower, put more resistance on.
Because you have this constant thread that I can do kind of based off a loose instruction, and not just be like critically thinking and trying to figure out like, am I going fast enough? Am I going slow enough? It's like beat of the music.
Yep, exactly. And I feel like that builds trust within people too, because the more that you come, the more that you attempt to do it, you see that your body can add a little more resistance and still stay on the beat.
Mm-hmm.
So this room, I like to consider a safe space. And this is what the cycle studios in Texas provided for me too, is it's a safe space to come, to try, to fail, whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really believe in that word, but that's a different story. To try, and then maybe not hit perfect. Like, we are so obsessed with perfect in Wichita.
Yeah, that's true.
In Kansas, like, I love it because people are so hardworking. But I'm like, you guys, this is a safe space to just test yourself, test your body, test your limits, understand that you're not going to be able to do everything. And that's like the cool thing about it, is this is the safe space to maybe push your resistance, maybe push your mind. And then whenever you face that resistance out in the real world, you have resilience built up, and you have trust with yourself that like, hey, it's going to be okay. Even if I try and I don't necessarily do as well as I, plan to, it's still okay. And I learned a lot from it. So that's kind of the goal in here, is to keep growing, to keep learning, to not be stagnant. And we change things up in here so that, no playlist is the same. No moves are exactly the same. I mean, we can teach back-to-back classes and they're still not the same.
Yeah, there's still variety.
Our motivation is different. And how everyone comes into the room and the energy that everyone brings in here is different too. So
you keep talking about pushing yourself. I am kind of curious, now that you've been around for just under a year, what are some changes that you've witnessed in your people here over like a 3 or a 6 month period? Like, what they come in day one, they're like, slump shoulders, like, I don't want to take up space.
Correct.
And then 3 months later, like, how are they showing up? What do you see? Do you see like body changes? Do you see like mental changes? Do you see like confidence changes where they're the ones now dancing as they walk in? Like, what all are you seeing?
Yes.
All of it? Yeah.
Yes. There's this really cool change that I see in people, and I'm due in 10 weeks, 9.5 weeks.
So just after the 1 year anniversary?
So, yes, exactly. I know, crazy lady. Like, okay, started a cycle studio, and then 3 months later, hey guys, I'm pregnant. Like I said, this has been in the works a lot longer than that. So it's not just like, but anyway, yeah, that's why we keep doing it, is those riders start in the back corner. We have a couple that stay in the back corner because they just like that bike.
Again, safe space. That's okay.
Yeah. But moving up to, on this bike, you're basically looking the instructor straight in the eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving up here. And the only reason that I brought up that I'm due is because over the last month, I have been telling our clients, like I'll point to one in specifically and I'll be like, hey, I'm about to have you come up here on the podium and ride while I just instruct. And they're like, every single person that I've said it to, they're like, yeah, let's do it.
That's
yes. And would they have done that even like 2 months ago? No.
Yeah. There's so much you can get with people by just like showing up repeatedly, feeling the support of the group in which they're in. But this is why like every day I tell people, not only is movement medicine, but it's better than medicine in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Ultimately. And it's a confidence builder, whether it's, spinning with all your friends, or whether it's lifting a heavy weight, whether it's going on a run, or whether it's like just going back to PE. I mean, my third podcast, we joked about having like an adult PE class once a week. And so far everybody's like, yeah, you should do that shit. It would be great. It would. Like,
it would.
It's just,
it's
also,
at play.
Yes. And it's another form because we analyze everything. Like I've got a Whoop band on, an Apple Watch. I'm tracking workouts, looking at calories, weighing myself. It's like, go do something fun for an hour. No winner or loser. The goal is just to enjoy yourself.
You know what's hilarious is that whenever I opened up WeRide, I always had my Apple Watch on. And probably 2 months I realized I wasn't starting my Apple Watch on any of them. I was just out of breath and like felt completely accomplished after the classes. And I have not worn my Apple Watch in 8 months.
This episode of Heal Without Harm is brought to you by Compelled Fitness, your ultimate partner in Wichita for getting into the best shape of your life. Whether you're aiming for better health, reaching athletic goals, or simply improving your fitness, Compelled Fitness offers programs and services tailored to fit your needs. Don't settle for less than your best. Visit compelled-fitness.com today and start your transformation with expert guidance and personalized fitness. At Compelled Fitness, the goal is helping you become the best version of yourself.
I just haven't worn it.
There's no need?
No.
Are you happier?
Need. I think so.
Yeah,
honestly,
think so
because I was like, oh, I'm not getting 15,000 steps today or something, and I was like, okay, why is my life all off metrics? Like this is
I think there's
wild.
benefits to it, right? Like you need to like track stuff to make sure things are changing. But when you hit a flow, when you hit something that works, when you hit routine, like pull all those away. Because then you just become obsessed with them and then you're limited by them. And I think that's what kind of sucks.
And we do have metrics here. So
which I really liked.
Yeah. After class, you're emailed. Yeah. You're emailed your metrics, which is great. But if you go to a cycling studio down in Texas, there are not even, you can't even see what your resistance is at. So you're like fully going off of how your body feels. And that's funny that's your reaction. You're like, I don't like that. Like that does not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I realized, like, okay, it might be a little bit more expensive for our business each month to provide these metrics and email them out and have this class ranking and everything. But it is so worth it for people in the Midwest, especially because we want to know our metrics and we want to know what we did,
Yeah. I do think, though, that I'm glad you did that because, again, you have to kind of meet people where they are.
Yeah.
But I do think it's one of those things that if after a couple, which I do think in the class, I don't remember what took place because these screens go dark. And I think there's magic to that because then it's like you kind of forget and you do just get zoned out. But I do think there's a lot of benefits to not knowing where you are. But again, meeting people where they're at and giving that to them at the beginning and then maybe like slowly pulling it back away, I think that would be the method.
Yeah.
At least for the Clayton Durs of the world.
And we have a lot of people who just don't look at their metrics now too.
For sure. And so I want to start wrapping this up and I want to make sure that if someone's listening and they are like, okay, I got to see what it's like to spin to Backstreet Boys and sing while I'm doing it. Or a T-Swift fan, something like that.
Yeah.
That they can do something about it. So if somebody's listening and they want to do that, where do they go from here? They're listening in their car. What do they do when they get to a stopping point? Just Google you?
Yeah.
Is that what we should do?
No. But yes, you can. We have a phone app.
Is it just called WeRide?
Okay, yes.
So WeRide.
Yes. And our icon is an infinity sign. So there's a couple of like ride sharing apps or like other apps on there, but our little icon on the apps is black with a teal infinity sign.
Sounds good.
Or you can go to our easiest way is go to our Instagram. If you have Instagram, it's WeRide KS.
Perfect. So WeRide Kansas.
Yep. And then we have a Facebook page, but Instagram is the best way. And then if you want to actually like see a video of what the class is like, you can also go to our webpage, either Instagram or our webpage, which is werideks.com.
What's an intro class look like in regards of like cost and how long are they going to be here?
Yeah. So the first ride is $5.
Okay.
Come 10 minutes early, please, because we do have specific shoes we use just for safety reasons. And then also to make sure that form is correct.
Yeah.
So we'll get you all clipped in. We'll get you feeling comfortable. You'll see whenever you step in here that every single instructor or studio staff, like they want to help you.
For sure.
So try not to feel too intimidated. The lights are like completely off, minus just some colorful lights. And yeah, just know that by even taking a step in here, like we understand that can feel intimidating at first. And it's intimidating for us getting up on the podium or up there instructing every single day. So we're in it together. Like we want you to enjoy it. So.
And I think this is a message I've said before, but everybody had their first workout. Everybody had their first whatever.
Yeah.
And generally the people up on the podium, like telling you through the class, they remember that very well. And so it's very easy for them to come and meet you where you are and walk you through that process. And I think what else is cool is when you create a good culture, the people in the class like can almost take that off of you as the podium person, right? Like they're like, oh, we got another one. Like,
we want
go
them
talk
to
to
love
her.
It too.
Yes, bring it in, bring it in. Like I remember when I was you like 2 months ago. Look where I am now. Like you can do it.
Yes, so much.
It's so motivating.
And yeah, the classes thrive off of each other's energy. I think one more thing to say though is that this was started by me. We're not a franchise. We would love to have a lot of members just because the classes are more vibrant then. But this is not like, we're not going to just sell you. We want people here that want to be here.
Yes. Yeah.
We want people to love it. We don't want you to be here because you're stuck in a contract or you're stuck. Like we want you to be here because this is how you find working out fun. And so just like keep that in the back of your mind. Whenever you come in 10 minutes early, it's not so we can sell you on something. It's seriously so that we can just get you comfortable.
Yeah, because also the shoes make a huge difference. I've always just rode a bike to ride a bike. The shoes make a huge difference. And then getting you set up. There's so many different moving parts on the bike on like how far away the handlebars are, how high they are, how high the seat is. And I was very appreciative of that because it showed me I was riding bikes suboptimally, ultimately, but specifically the spin bike because you want to be comfortable throughout the whole class.
Yep.
Moving to the last couple questions. One's kind of deep, one's just for fun. So the fun question is, what is your favorite food that you could eat nonstop?
Oh my goodness.
Regardless of calorie count.
This changes so much.
What, every hour right now during pregnancy?
1 week it was pho, 1 week it was burgers.
So what's today's pick?
Okay. I've been just craving smoothies.
Nice.
And acai berry bowls.
Yes.
I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
I think it's acai.
Acai.
If you want to sound really funny, just say acai. Just know you're saying it wrong if you want. There you go.
But yeah, I'm like loving those, obsessed with those. So
to finish out, I want you to tell me one deep story on your favorite client journey. Like of all the people, it could even be a coach, but of the people you've seen in this last year after starting WeRide, what's one of the most inspiring stories that you just want to put on every billboard in Wichita?
Oh my gosh. There's so many. Okay, let me think of one. Who? There's so many.
Who's the first lady? I'm guessing it's a female. Total assumption there, but who's the first lady that jumps to your mind?
There is a female, but we've had some males come in too, and it's the same.
Then if it helps, maybe you just tell like
female
what you see.
Female, I would say we've had a couple of kind of similar stories.
Okay.
We have had quite a few healthcare providers come in, and that's like really cool just because it connects to me. But the one specifically that I think of is her father passed away.
Okay.
I'm gonna try not to get emotional over it, but I don't know if that's a baby or whatever. But her father had passed away, and she had moved here, and she has lost quite a bit of weight, but she hadn't whenever she had started sharing these changes with us. And it's all been just, she has a community. Her mental state is so much better. Her temper with her kids is a lot less quick. And just allowing herself to take up space. And that's one thing that I hear from client to client, like, thank you so much for providing this space where I can take up space. And over again, even if your situation isn't that your father just passed or that you have had patients that have passed away in the hospital, it is so cool to see people want to take up space and people see that they need to take up space here.
Like your wants matter.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that. I always like the people who come in here too that say that they don't step on a scale, but they say that they've actually noticed changes in their body where they're carrying their shoulders back high. Their posture is better. And I'm like, that comes from within.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's so much with that where they're in public speaking, they call it like the 4-inch rule or the 4-centimeter rule, where it's like slightly leaned forward is like, please don't look at me. I'm ashamed. And then like standing up, shoulders back, chest puffed. And it's like, that's not because you lack mobility or you're weak in a certain area or strong over here. It's like, that's your mental choice, like to stand like that. Or it's a subconscious, right? And so you provide this community and you provide these exercises that also have physiological benefits.
Oh, yeah.
For the brain or for the body, and then start changing looks. And I would say like communities like this do more therapy than therapies a lot of the times, because it's like just feeling loved, feeling seen, feeling appreciated. You have a reason to show up every day. And then all of the things that take place, 1 to 4 hours after a workout, the endorphin release, all of that. And then you start sleeping better. And then here goes this huge cascade. And you're like, can I do that again tomorrow? And it's like, if you can walk, because like your first class, your butt's a little sore, right? But yeah, and then you're like, I want more of that. And I think that's what I want everybody to like take away is when you find something that you like just do more of it. And then say like, how can I make this a part of my normal life?
And exactly. And that's what I have said, and I will say it again. If WeRide is not for you, that is okay. I just want you to try it and see if it is. Because if you have had a hard time getting in that mental space and where you can let yourself just live, or you've had a hard time finding a workout that feels good to you, or moving, not even a workout, just moving your body that feels good to you, then like if you find that somewhere else, by all means, please do it. Like, please, like that. This just creates this business and this space has just created a different outlet and something that I was looking for and I couldn't find anywhere.
Yeah, you built this because you needed it and you figured other people did too.
Like, not business 101. If you're going to start a business, don't do it because you think you need it.
Totally understand that. So we will wrap this up. We'll probably have you on again to answer some of the questions that were kind of brought up. I know 2 or 3 times during our time talking today, you said, we could talk about that. We could talk about that. And I can already tell there's many different rabbit trails that we could run on. But I want to make sure we keep this somewhat concise and people can come talk to you. They can come find you here at WeRide and they can come try out a class. I promise you it's different. I've never been one that's like spinning or cycling. I like riding my bike outside, but the idea of like in one spot for 45 minutes,
even
talk about
running
blah.
on a treadmill.
Oh gosh, it's horrible. It's torture.
Place. Like I used to do Peloton a lot, and I've tried to go back and do Peloton,
but you can't.
And I'm like,
yeah. And so like, if anything, the bike is just what happens underneath your feet while you're here partying with your friends is legit how it feels. You just walk out sweaty and happy. And so please go to
it is a hard workout.
Oh, like, it is for sure. No, you're burning some calories. But my point being is they keep you so like happy and distracted with what everybody's doing, the dance moves and the music. The playlists are killer. And so we will wrap this up for today. If you want to come out and try WeRide, check them out on Instagram, WeRide Kansas or WeRide KS. You can also go to the Facebook, the website, and all the things. I'll have it all down in the show notes. Pay $5, come in, get checked out, and get better ultimately. So Elyse, thank you for your time today. Congrats on the baby, and I hope everything goes nice and smooth. And hopefully today's podcast helped you learn how to heal without harm. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.